Hello and welcome to Patch. I'm your host, Paul James. Today I'm joined by Matto Phillips. Mid-drink, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. I'm good. It's a bit thirsty.
I've got to ask, those drinks, convenient.
Not
I don't
Doug's.
often see you drinking. Are they Doug's?
Not
Are they
Doug's.
they're not Doug's
I've
beers.
got
Okay.
I've got other drinks to get rid of first, then I get into Doug's. Leave
Yeah,
the best
right,
till
sweet.
last. Best till last.
Yeah, you got the good shit. You got the XPA. Lucky bastard.
Got the hard stuff.
Had some
got-
again for
you got
it's been a
the
little
mild
while between drinks recently, but I had some XPA for the first time the other day. It just hit the spot perfectly. All right, topic time. We spotted a news piece that went live this week about a studio who is proclaimed to be a quadruple A studio, not triple A, like all the other big publishers talk about. This is a quadruple A, 4 A's, everyone. That's how good this studio is. The Initiative, an Xbox internal studio that was formed a few years ago, and we've somewhat in the last, year and a half now, we learned that they were working on a Perfect Dark game. More recently than that, we learned that they're getting some support from Crystal Dynamics, the team responsible for Tomb Raider and most recently Marvel's Avengers. Less you say about Marvel's Avengers, the better. But you know, a pretty acclaimed, pretty good studio that they're getting some help from there. And now we've learned, thanks to an article at VGC or Video Games Chronicle, and put together by Andy Robinson, I believe. It was Andy Robinson that did it. Who, I guess, a little bit of trivia for people, whilst is also a big name like journo in the space, also wrote Ukulele. So, a little bit of trivia for people. But we've learnt from him, having spoken to a few different insiders and people that he knows inside the studio and outside that kind of know some of the inner workings, is that there's a pretty high turnover at that studio. And certainly kind of on the senior end. And I guess the question that it's leaving us thinking is, what's going on at this studio? There's, what does it mean for maybe Xbox and how they handle their first parties more broadly? Because obviously, there's still the finger being pointed at the quality of the first party titles, the stuff that has been made internally by Xbox from day one. There's all those sorts of questions that need to be asked. But Matto, before we really dive into the specifics, what are you thinking when you hear about a studio like this that's meant to be this next big thing, quadruple A? And I know that was a marketing thing, and they've been trying to walk away from that for a while. But you said it. What do you think about the state of the Initiative?
Well, when you see the list if you ever see the article or whatever, at the bottom of the page, there's just all these lines crossed out. People's names crossed out, and you look at it and go, you think, is this Survivor? Is it Tribal Council?
Their torch is getting snuffed.
Just the tribe has spoken. Is this what the Initiative is? Is this what a quadruple A studio is now? Just voting people out. When it gets, that's only their name in the credits.
And let's be clear, some of these names, we're not going to go through the entire list or anything like that, because it's quite long. There's a long list of people who make up the Perfect Dark dev team, specifically at the Initiative. So again, not focusing on the Crystal Dynamics side. There's a lot of names on the list. So yeah, definitely doesn't make sense to read them out. But there's a lot of those that are crossed out. And if you just kind of skim through the list, and again for viewers / listeners, this is on Video Games Chronicle, Andy Robinson. I'll put a link to the article in the show notes on either the podcast feed and the YouTube channel. But the people that have left are big names, and they've worked on some big games. So you've got people who've worked on Tomb Raider. You've got Drew Murray, who was huge at Insomniac, kind of led Sunset Overdrive, led Resistance 3, came over to Microsoft to work with the Initiative, and then left and went back to Insomniac again, taking a demotion in the process to go back. There's people who worked on Jedi Fallen Order. There's people from id, God of War, Uncharted. These are people
They're not small games. Let's just say that they're AAA games, not
and really successful ones too. They know what success looks like. Yeah, and I think that's almost one of the things too. Is if you've been a part of some of these games in the past, all the games and studios that I've kind of mentioned, you go, well, you know what it looks like. Yes, there can be some variances. Yes, every now and then you get surprised. I'm sure there was lots of people at Crystal Dynamics, for example, that were surprised by how the Avengers was received, despite the fact that none of us were surprised.
No, we weren't surprised at all.
But like you've been in these high functioning, really high level workplaces for a long time, so you know what it looks like when a game is kind of firing on all cylinders. So when they all start leaving, it's not really a good sign. And it's, I don't know, like I haven't counted them up, but by eye, you'd think maybe 50% of that list, 50, 60% of that list.
You just have to look at all the black lines and just go, that's a lot.
Yeah, it'd be close to half the names on the list there, if not just a little bit over. And a lot of them are really on the like design end, like the high end kind of core design sort of aspects, systems or level design. They're all gone. They're all gone.
The important part of it all. The important part.
I mean, all of it's important, but yeah, I know what you mean. And I guess the thing that I'll kind of nip in the bud right now on my end, for anyone who's going to point the finger, because obviously I do have a strong PlayStation bias. Like, if you'd have just put this list in front of me, regardless of, and just said, like, here's all the names, look at all the names crossed out, I would say that studio's in trouble. You could have then said, okay, that studio's Guerrilla Games. And I go, oh, shit, well, they're in all sorts. But it's not them, because they just made Horizon Forbidden West, and it's amazing.
Nice plug.
Yeah, no, I had that particular the studio planned when it came to that comment, but but like, it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they're Guerrilla, whether there's someone at Sony, whether there's a third party, someone at Xbox, someone at Nintendo, like a studio at Xbox, Nintendo, whatever. Like, it is not a good look when you're losing this many people, especially at the higher levels. So,
but even if you showed someone that list and didn't say what it was, you just see all these scratched out names. You go, "What's this?"
Yeah,
Survivor, and then you said it was like, "Oh, this was people at a big company." You're like, "Oh, like where are they? Like, gone."
Yeah,
out of there, walked out, quit, left, whatever. Take your pick.
Yeah, and I mean, there's like, as you skim through the list, like the bulk of them are kind of from about October last year. Like there's a big, there's some that are kind of a bit more spread out. Maybe middle of last year onwards. Like something, it smells like something's going very wrong there at the studio. And it's perhaps no surprise that Crystal's gotten involved.
When did Activision get purchased?
More recently than that. Way more recently.
Was it October?
Activision was this year. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, time's all over the shop. But yeah, it's a horrible sort of look for them. And I guess more broadly, what does that say for Xbox Studios full stop? Because this was meant to be the big thing. This was kind of promoted as being the number one studio once it obviously got its first game out there. And for a period, they were working on Gears of War, apparently. Was it Gears? Yeah, they were going to be working on Gears of War until Microsoft bought and this shows how long ago this studio was formed. They were working on Gears, then Microsoft bought the license to Gears and created their own team, like off Epic, and created their own team, which was the Coalition. So that was before Gears 4 came out on the Xbox
6
One.
years ago almost.
Yeah, so they've been in a state of kind of nothingness for a very long time.
So they're just gone to the old. Well, they're not quite up to our rare status of just sitting there.
They're not far off.
Doing nothing. Well, they're second place. Rare's been on that title for 20 years. Let's be honest.
But the worst thing is they're an Xbox studio as well. Like what is going on? And you think about the big hits last year. Now Halo launched really well, but it's copping some negative backlash these days because of how they're kind of like, it's a game as a service and they're not really providing much of a service at the moment. Like, it's patches are taking a long time. All the updates they're claiming that are meant to be coming are taking a long time. Season 2 still hasn't rolled out. The way they were nickel and diming with microtransactions wasn't being well received. And again, I'm saying well received by the community. I'm not into multiplayer, so this is not a Paul PlayStation bias thing again. Obviously, you mentioned Rare.
They're probably focusing on their silly TV show on Paramount Plus,
which is only reviewing so as well. The first 2 episodes have been getting some reviews, and
who would have thought about a character that doesn't really have much facial expressions, occasionally talks.
Sounds like the second episode was better than the first, but
I hope so.
Yeah, I'd want to. But yeah, like you add Rare to that, and Rare obviously are working on that Everwild at the moment, and that's just kind of bumbling along. 343 really struggled up until the launch of Halo Infinite, and again, obviously we just mentioned their issues. The Coalition and Turn 10 slash Playground, so Coalition obviously for Gears, and then Turn 10 and Playground for the two different variants of Forza have been the only things that have really worked for them in terms of their internal studios for a long time. And that's... You can obviously see why they've gone and bought all these other studios, but we still haven't seen anything come out from any of these other acquisitions yet. The closest was Obsidian.
Psychonauts 2.
But even then, like that, and sorry, I guess like that game was deep into development already when they got bought. That's why it came out to PlayStation as well. It was a Kickstarted thing.
Starfield.
The Microsoft money just allowed them to put a few bosses in there that they might have had to scrap otherwise. And you'd back someone like Tim Schafer in, whether he's owned by Microsoft or not.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, you wouldn't worry about that at all.
Obsidian have Grounded, but that's still in early access. That's been kind of kicking around for a long time. They're going to do some cool things, but like even the acquisitions aren't really churning games out at the rate you'd expect.
They all get purchased about 2 years ago. We haven't seen nothing
much.
since.
Yeah. Starting kind of 2018/19 really was when some of these buys started happening.
When was their world premiere video?
Yeah, I can't
nothing
remember.
since.
And then obviously the bulk of their games last year that actually were successful were either really established kind of, I don't mean this in a derogatory sense to Forza Horizon, but formulaic things as well, because like Forza Horizon has a formula and you can follow that pretty clearly and easily. Halo, yeah, we've spoken about that. And then Psychonauts, and I think there was one more, but I'm going blank on what it was. But again, I think it was another one of their acquisitions. So what's happening with the first party? Because now you look at this year, and what have they got?
Nothing.
Starfield, but that's
Starfield,
Bethesda.
That's it. It's Bethesda.
And what's the other Bethesda game? The Arcane developed game? The vampire one.
Yeah, let's be honest, we didn't really care about it too much. We just sort of like, yep, next. Carry on.
Yeah, I've gone blank on the name, but like it'll be pretty popular.
I was gonna say Vampire, that's not it. That's another game.
No, that's not it.
That's a completely different franchise. Probably something with blood in it. They always have the word blood in it somewhere.
No, I can't think of what it was.
Second Blood.
They tried to leverage obviously partnerships as well for this year, and this one's no one's fault. But that hasn't worked out for them. Like one of their big exclusives for the year was going to be Stalker 2, but they're a Ukrainian studio, so they've got some problems at the moment. They're not obviously able to develop right now, so that's obviously not their fault in the slightest. But yeah, it's just nothing's really working properly for them over there, and they're being propped up by companies that aren't, well, they're theirs now, but they're not really their own, I guess, in that core traditional sense. They're not managing their stuff well. Any thoughts on how or why this is the case, and even how they could fix it? What does Uncle Phil need to do?
Uncle Phil needs to figure out what the hell's going on. Got all these studios, Phil. We haven't seen anything.
Oh, Redfall was that game, by the way.
Red Bull.
Redfall.
Oh,
yeah,
Redfall.
Redfall, yeah.
Redfall, right. We're just promoting energy drinks now, Bethesda. Just raking in the money everywhere.
Crack a can. They haven't even put the fridge out yet in Australia.
It's almost been a year since they.
I'm glad you said Red Bull. That just prompted. Wait, Red Bull. That goes in can. That's in a can. That goes in a fridge.
That goes in the fridge. Speaking of fridges, where's the fridge?
So they've got to sort that shit out as well.
Yeah, well, it's bad enough that they have the fridge hasn't come out to Australia yet. It's also bad enough that they're AAA game companies or whatever. Where are they? Do we need to put out missing posters?
It's getting that way.
Because we haven't heard anything from them. No updates, no nothing. It's just, oh hey, guess what? Purchased another studio. Great. Where we go see games, Phil? That's all we want to see, Phil. We want to see games.
Phil, you can buy a mini fridge from the UK for $186 Australian.
How much is postage? 186.
$60.
Oh, $200 fridge. Actually, that's not bad. Let's be honest.
It's not bad, actually.
It's actually pretty good.
Like, it's not going to work in our PowerPoints, but you can get an adapter to fix that.
Oh, yeah, easy.
I'm getting my fridge.
It's my fridge from the
international postage.
Look what you've done, Phil. We have to.
Look what I'm resorting to.
Outsource that fridge is not going to get here for 20 days.
How am I supposed to keep my drinks cold?
How's Paul meant to keep his Red Bull?
All that Red Bull that I drink.
Nice and cold. But still, Phil, where's these games?
Yeah, it's
It was cool and always talking about, hey, we purchased this studio. Like, oh, great. And then Sony's like, hey, we brought this studio. Guess what? This game, Insomniac. Did they get purchased about
20
4 or 5
well,
years
they're
ago?
they're the one that kicked it all off. So, and it wasn't that long before Bethesda.
It was after. Was it after Spider Man? I feel like it was after Spider
It
Man.
was after Spider-Man.
So that'd be about
probably
20
2019. No,
2018?
February 2020.
2020.
Yeah, it was 2020.
And look at that. They've already promoted 2 new games that are going to come out.
They've put
and
3
Miles
games
Morales.
out, and they've got 2
Miles
more on
Morales.
the way.
Yeah, Miles, Ratchet and Clank, and
And the remaster of the original.
remastered Spider Man. And then they got Wolverine and Spider Man 2.
And you
What's,
can bet your bottom dollar that they've probably got another Ratchet somewhere in development as well. But look,
Yeah.
I don't want to do too much kind of pissing contest stuff between Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah, but
personally.
let's be honest. Like, I know, but you look what Sony's doing. They're making games. And
Yeah.
showing games. Xbox are buying companies. And unless you're Bethesda, there's nothing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. So here's something I want.
Even Activision, they purchased Activision, haven't heard a thing from them. Maybe they just buying their time and say, right, Bob, that's your time, get out. Here's your money.
well, there's
get
probably a
out
bit of
of
that.
here.
There's probably
Get
a bit
out of
that.
here, Bob.
So on the actual acquisition side of it, I want your thoughts on this. The most recent Sony purchase was Bungie, right? Now, obviously, they're not doing exclusives for them, but I don't know how much you kind of studied the deal. But out of was it 2 billion, 3 billion, whatever it was that they spent, 1 billion was committed to retaining staff. So, like, if you leave, then you miss out on this giant bonus. If you stay,
that's
you'll get
smart.
all of it.
Smart.
So, did Microsoft just not go down like that sort of path? Like, did they just screw
course.
themselves by
Of
not?
course, because they spent it all on Activision. They spent all their 70 billion or whatever it is. I forgot how much they purchased
Yeah.
Activision for.
Activision was like 68 point something billion, and then
Okay.
obviously Bethesda was 7.5 billion.
There's all your money gone right there.
Well, not if you're Microsoft. They
Not if you're
earn that back.
Loose
but-
change, but still, I think they're just spending too much time buying studios instead of
They didn't buy the people. They didn't keep the people.
they just buy the studio. That's all they didn't buy the people. People can just walk out the door.
And look,
That's
to be
not
fair,
bad.
you still can if you got picked up by Sony as well. If you're Bungie and I presume any of the other acquisitions, you can do it, but you're
Okay.
leaving a
There's
lot
a
of money on the
bonus.
table.
There's a bonus in there for you if you stay.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're
That's
spending,
different.
I mean, if you're at Bungie now, I don't know. I'm going to try and quickly Google Bungie studio size, but like $1 billion is committed to retaining the staff. Now, if I quickly check Wikipedia, and this is apparently as of 2022, there's 900 people at Bungie. Now it won't be all equal.
Oh, maths teacher, let's see your magic.
Well,
I
if we even round it off to 1,000, and you're talking about a billion. What did you say? I said $1 billion. Like
$1 billion, 1,000 staff.
that. I mean, $1 billion is 1,000 million. So you're talking about each person. Now it's not going to work out this way because obviously some will be better paid than others. But you're talking about if you just purely divide it on average, every person's going to get $1 million just to stay at the company they're at on top of their normal annual salary,
So even
whatever
then,
that happens to be.
even then, no matter what, you got to get a big bag of money.
Yeah.
No matter what you do.
Yeah, even
It
if it's
might not be $1 million, might not
No,
be $1
but-
million or 10 million, whatever it is, but still going to be a large sum of money. So why wouldn't you stay?
Yeah, certainly like some of the real heads of the company, the Pete Parsons and Jason Jones and co, like are probably getting a quarter of that 1 billion just between the two of them. And that, I guess, fair enough. You want to try and keep the heads of the whole thing on board. But yeah, even at that point, like everyone else is still looking at least on average maybe 500,000. That's huge. Like that's, you get that either paid out in little chunks, but even just one big lump thing, like, okay, you've stuck around for the 3-4 years that we need you to stick around. Here's your $500,000. That's your home loans paid. That's holidays. That's cars. That's everything you want.
That's
You just-
about 5 tanks of petrol in this day and age.
yeah,
now.
there's that too. You can pay petrol for a couple of weeks, and you're made for life. So, like, it's smart what what Sony's done in that sense, and Microsoft has kind of missed an opportunity there, I think. I mean, they may be doing things like that, but whatever it is clearly isn't working because the staff are still walking out. And yeah, I think they're in a pretty dodgy sort of spot. Can Perfect Dark be saved?
With that many people gone,
At
it's
leadership
hard to
levels.
say. It's hard to say. I would say no, unfortunately. If we have a look, for instance, there's in the past, right? Let's just go to Metal Gear Solid to start off with.
Yeah.
Kojima did that from whatever it was, the first one till 5. Then he left, they made another one. And what happened? It sucked.
Yeah.
And then you look at maybe Ubisoft as well. I can't remember with the Assassin's Creed stuff. The lead person there.
Yeah, Jade Raymond or Patrice. I've forgotten his surname, but Patrice somebody. I've forgotten his name.
Was that name we got mixed up before, and we'll say it funny. But you look
Patrice
at that.
Desolé.
But when they left, I think that's when Assassin's Creed went a bit.
Yeah, went off the rails a bit
Yeah.
Brotherhood was okay, but then
on,
Revelations and 3 were a little bit off.
yeah, and then they got it back on track, and then it went downhill again, and then it got back on track when they got to Origins.
Oh look, I don't think it necessarily went off the track as much the second time around. They had
was a bit
a Mass Effect Andromeda buggy face moment, and that kind of painted that Unity pretty badly. But
well, I think they just go down the same boring path, and people just got to be bored and go,
yeah,
you know what?
Yeah, there's that.
Open world people and a ship.
Stay tuned. The precursor to our tier maker episode where we rank the Assassin's Creed titles sometime in the future.
Yes, everyone's waiting on me to play Valhalla.
Oh, Valhalla.
And then we're ready to go.
And the other thing that's interesting about the list is they mention some of the people they've hired, and obviously a lot of them have kind of come in the last 12 months or so. But like the people that are left, it's senior this, it's the lead of this, it's the narrative lead there, it's the whatever. Then you scroll down to the people that are coming, and there's certainly some senior people that are coming in the door as well. But junior visual effects artist, writing assistant, they're kind of people who are untried and inexperienced. I guess comparatively inexperienced. You're not going to get, like, it's pretty hard to get someone in the door, and I can only speak to, like, there's a lot of names there, plenty of people that unfortunately I don't know. But so, like, I'm just going to cite Drew Murray as the example that I do know and do know very well. You're not going to get a Drew Murray coming back through the door, most likely. So everything is, no offense to these people, but lesser as a result. Again, I say that with the greatest respect to those people coming in the door.
Not your fault, people. Let's just say that. It's just...
There's experience and there's that insomniac magic.
It's bad timing. Let's just say that. But if they want to really say Perfect Dark, there's one team that can do it. And one team only.
You saying they need to get Rare to do it?
Playtonic.
Playtonic to do... Oh, yeah, okay, I suppose, yeah, right.
At least they'll get it back on track because, hey, they did the original one. They'll actually make it, what's the word? Good. None of this Perfect Dark Zero rubbish. Let's just forget about that.
So what you're trying to say is that Andy Robinson writing this article is actually, like, playing the game here. Because obviously, yeah, Playtonic were the ones that did Ukulele. This is some big ploy from him to rub their nose in the dirt for the Xbox to go, who do we need? We need Playtonic. Great, Andy Robinson's here. I'll write the game for you. Done. Dodgy bastard.
And it just rubs it even more because they probably were former Xbox employees. No longer there. Because they used to be Rare.
Everybody tweet Andy Robinson and just say, we're on to you. That's it. Nothing else.
They used to do Perfect Dark, and everyone loved Perfect Dark, so 2 and 2 together. Voila.
Checks out. Any other thoughts at all?
Well, as much as I was excited for Perfect Dark, kind of forgot about it. Now we know why. Because of all the things. And now, to be honest, I'm not very excited for it. My expectations are now very, very low. So if it actually is good, I say well done, but... It's going to be interesting to see the credits. Those credits could go for about 40 minutes with the number of people that have worked.
They've just got to adopt the Mercury
25%?
Steam approach, and you've got to work long enough to actually...
The 25% rule.
That's their way to clean it out, because then they'll turn around and go, well, Crystal Dynamics people, we were working on this for 6 years before you guys arrived, so unless you've been here for another 3, you're all out of luck. So it could work out for them, right? I think, look... if the game is good, I don't think it's because of the initiative. I think it's because of Crystal Dynamics.
Oh yeah,
That's
no, the all
this
Crystal
game is
Dynamics.
yeah, and it'll be interesting, like on the Square Enix side, because Square Enix owns Crystal Dynamics. It'll be interesting to see how, like, what comes out of that studio itself. Like, are they working on stuff on the side? Like, if they're still churning out games, then that makes me even more concerned for Perfect Dark, because it says that, okay, you haven't given them that many people to help out. Like, you're mostly still focusing on your own things. So, I don't know. That, or they are taking the largest sum of money of all time to kind of be a freelance studio for a bit.
Is it $1 billion? Probably not.
Not unreasonable though when you think about it.
But it's not the Sony way. It is the Xbox way, and we don't know what the Xbox way is, except just buy studios and
buy them and fuck them up.
Put them in limbo for 20 years,
and then not release a game at the end of it. We'll see what happens. There's lots of good things going on the Xbox side. We do have things like the Outer Worlds that are on the way, and I've gone blank on the other RPG that Obsidian was making. Maybe the good thing at Xbox.
You're not talking about Grounded, are you?
No, not Grounded. But Grounded looks like it could be, it should be good as well. It's just still in early access. Shit. It's a Skyrim style RPG, fantasy and dragons and stuff. Avowed. No, I don't know. Whatever it was.
So good luck with that. Going up against Skyrim.
Well, they're probably going to slot it in before Skyrim comes out. Sometime after Starfield, but before Elder Scrolls 6.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck to them. I mean, they're an amazing studio, so I'll back them in. But yeah, good luck. Like, they're kind of propping up the Xbox studios these days. We've got Hellblade that's on the way, but then not a lot else. So it's a weird sort of a time if you're a fan of the Xbox first party studios, because you are still going to get good games. It's going to come from Bethesda and Activision most likely. And then in terms of your internal stuff, I don't know. You got Forza every year. Good luck.
We've got Forza Motorsport coming this year, Forza Horizon the year after, and so on and so on.
Fable's somewhere along the way.
Who knows where Fable's coming? No one knows where Fable's coming.
And that's fair. Like, they're working on. They're still putting out Forza Horizon as well, so they'll be right.
It's going to be an improvement from your old Connect Fable.
Oh, yeah. I think our expectations will be met. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, as long as there's no motion whatsoever, I think you've already won with Fable.
Yeah.
But when, we don't know. Could be about 2030 at this rate.
That's the other worry. Is like, okay, maybe the games end up being good, but it's going to take them an eternity to get them that way. That's 8 years away, 2030, and you can't even rule it out for some of these games.
That's the thing.
I mean, have you heard that Star Wars Eclipse? Star Wars Eclipse is apparently meant to be like 2028 in the eyes of some at the studio. That's because their issue is they can't hire people, because obviously there's some shit people at the head of the studio that have gotten themselves in some issues. Remember crying in court and all that sort of stuff. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
So their issue is they can't hire people.
It wasn't great. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's get this studio to do that. And there something before that was there? I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, they were doing all sorts of horrible things.
Ah, no.
All the inappropriate workplace behaviour sort of stuff, but yeah, it came out in court and they lied and cried, and it was a whole thing. So who knows? Like, they could do a Quantic Dream and release the game in more than half a decade from now, and I wouldn't be surprised. We'll wrap things up there. If you enjoyed that episode of Patched, I did it again.
Platched.
Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Could be a Platched soon. Who knows?
It's our spin-off. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All the buttons down below. Hit the notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video the moment it goes live on the channel. That includes Patched, More Player 2 Plays, Gamer School, and a whole bunch more. Awesome stuff there, so please subscribe and go and check it out. Visit the website, player2.net.au, for reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, links to the podcast series, Patched, the Player 2 Pixelcast, and Dev Diary. On the Patched side, for both YouTube and for the podcast feeds, there's a few review discussions going up this week. So I can't say what any of them are. Just think about some of the games that are coming out this week. And there's a good chance. There's
about 20 of them.
If we talk about games coming out this week, and I'm not putting things in any particular order, I'm just Throwing
Jigglypuff.
shit out there. We've got Kirby. We've got Ghostwire. We've got Borderlands. We've got Rune Factory. What else is coming out this week? I'm not going anywhere near Rune Factory. Fuck that. If someone's going to do a review discussion, it's not going to involve me. There's a lot coming out this week, so that means review discussions. There's already one in the bank, and there's more still to come. So keep your eyes out for those. You could be seeing and hearing a lot from this podcast feed this week. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, kicking a few bucks, lower tiers, early access, higher tiers, monthly episode exclusives, and finally, Twitter, Matto.
Matto_Phil.
Paul James Games for me. The website is player2au. And until next week, thanks a lot for watching. It'll be our updates episode. We'll see you later.